To get into commercial galleries, most often you're going to not have the opportunity for an open call. Though there are sometimes submission guidelines posted on the gallery's website, often you're getting in because of networking. If you can get a reference, that's great. Where would this reference come from? A fellow artist who's already showing at that gallery, another curator who speaks highly of your work, or even, potentially, collectors. Commercial galleries tend to listen when their collectors say they like an artist. But when you're first starting out, it's going to be hard to come by these references, so you're going to have to build your own connection to the gallery. First, you need to get to know the galleries, especially in your local or regional community. Here in Colorado, one very helpful resource is denverarts.org, a website that will list the events and exhibitions of most of the visual art galleries in Denver and the surrounding region. Researching galleries is actually work. It's not painful work, but it's work for you to be able to identify several galleries for which you think your work would be a good fit. Once you've narrowed your list to 3 to 5 places that you think you might be interested in trying to approach, you want to start attending their openings, going to the receptions, especially if there are artist talks, but also you want to go in during regular hours and make sure that you talk to the people that are there. Ideally, you would talk to the director, but often they're going to be hiding back in an office somewhere, and you will be having a chat with a very pleasant worker who won't be the person who can make a decision about whether or not to show your work. When you are going to these receptions, you're not only schmoozing, you're also assessing whether or not your initial thoughts about the gallery were correct. After seeing 6 months worth of exhibitions, do you still feel like your work would be a good fit? Another complication for that is that you want to approach a gallery that shows work that is similar to yours in style and intent, but doesn't already have an artist who fills your niche. After you've attempted to build up a relationship and talk to the director, go ahead and ask how to submit your work. They'll usually have some sort of policy. Perhaps they review submissions quarterly. Perhaps they want you to send a link to their website, or maybe they want attachments. Find out what they want you to do, and then make sure you do it that way. Don't be surprised if it takes a really long time to even hear a no. You can increase your chances by making sure that you really are a good fit, by talking to the gallery director about what they're looking for, and also by approaching galleries that are a little less established. A gallery that has been in business for 30 years has plenty of artists with whom they can work. A newer gallery might be more open to your submission. Okay, so what do you do to get a gallery outside of the region? Pretty much the same thing, except that you're limited by not being able to meet with them in person, or at least not frequently. You can still research galleries that you think would be a good fit through their websites, sign up for their email announcements, and follow them on social media. Try to engage with them. Send them an email to compliment that latest show. Ask a question about an artist's interesting technique. Try to form a relationship at least as much as you can over the internet. And then either send them an email or call them up on the phone and ask, are you looking at the work of new artists? If they say no, you don't necessarily have to sever ties. Ideally, you're only approaching galleries whose work you're interested in, and you'd still be interested even if they aren't going to show you. But if they are looking at the work of new artists, then ask them for the requirements and make sure you follow those. More common than rejection will be ghosting. You'll get to the point where you're actually happy to receive a politely worded decline. You can find more about this process in the textbook. Artwork has several chapters on galleries. Also, in the resources page of this module, there are several things worth looking at, one of which is a series of blog posts Edward Winkleman, a gallerist in New York, wrote, detailing advice for artists seeking gallery representation. And there are innumerable accounts of how to approach a gallery, one Google away. You can look them up and try them all. Don't forget about the possibility of organizing your own exhibition. All you need is a space, and it doesn't even have to be a super fancy space. Does it have a roof? Does it have walls? Which isn't actually required for all art forms. And does it have electricity, or at least the ability for you to hook up electricity? If so, you've got yourself a gallery. When I taught at Wichita State University in Kansas, the art department contacted the local downtown development organization, basically a consortium of businesses that try to make sure that they can all stay, in business. They hate empty retail spaces, especially in Old Town or touristy destinations. We actually got them to agree to let us put on exhibitions. They donated the use of the space in exchange for us bringing a crowd to their area. If you're willing to put in the legwork, if you're willing to ask, there's a pretty good chance that you'd be able to find a place that's willing to let you put your work up temporarily. They're going to be nervous about insurance, so have an answer for that. And a couple of times we had to actually rent a generator to have any electricity because the space had been empty for so long. But it was a great way to show a lot of art. There's a great tradition of artists finding an empty warehouse and having an exhibition. If you can promote it enough, you might even actually be able to sell some work. Having a DIY approach is not only a great way to get work in front of people, but also is going to prove to the next person who gets your CV that you are an artist who has their act together.